He talks right, he knows his stuff, and he knows how to make a girl laugh.
The largest pro wrestling events in the country, Wrestlecade, returns to Winston-Salem, November 24th to the 26th. Meet your favorite wrestling stars, experience live wrestling events, shop for exclusive wrestling merch, and more. 3 days of family-friendly fun for fans of all eras during Wrestlecade, November 24th to the 26th. Your chance to meet the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. It all goes down at the Benton Convention Center in Winston-Salem. Get your tickets now, WrestleCade.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the studios in the wrestling capital of the South, it's another terrific episode of The Binge Buster Show. Please welcome your host, Tony Binge.
Hello, wrestling fans. Welcome back to The Binge Buster Show. It has been quite a while since we've had a episode. I think the last one was in June. But of course, you know I can't get my show started without my co-host, cohort, and co-conspirator. I'm talking about none other than the Playboy himself, rock and roll Chris Plano. Chris, what is going on?
Woo, terrific, Tony. How have you been? It's so great to be back on the air with you for another podcast. Boy, what is not going on? Summer seems to be in the rearview mirror. Football season in the fall is upon us, and man, I'm excited about tonight's show.
Man, I am too. It's crazy. Our summer was just jam-packed and a lot going on in my personal life, your life, everybody's life. And so therefore, we took a little hiatus of a little break, I guess you would say, from the podcast. But man, we are back ready to rock and roll. And we have got some major news breaking, as I'm sure everyone has heard this by now, but UFC and WWE are now known as TKO. What do you think about that, Chris?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's a great merger for the sports entertainment industry. It brings the fans that love Ultimate Fighting, fans from World Wrestling Entertainment, and brings the two products together. Still going to operate as their own, obviously, individual entity, but I think it's going to bring them to do some creative stuff amongst their events and cross-promotional kind of stuff. I think as this goes on, it's going to be great for the sports entertainment industry as a whole, and moves on WWE maybe from some of their troubles they've had over the last year or two with Vince McMahon and stuff taking place with them outside of the ring.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a good move on all parts, all parties involved. I know today they announced the merger was official on September the 12th. I guess when this podcast will air, it will already have happened. But the news I'm reading is even though they have merged together, they're still going to operate under two entities. So the UFC is going to do their thing, and WWE is going to do their thing, and but then everybody is going to reap the benefits. Although I did read earlier today that they have already started getting rid, I guess is a lack of a better word, some of their like some of the WWE corporate employees. I know. I read where their one of their presidents over finance. They let him go today, but they gave him a $5 million severance package. So I think he'll be okay for a while.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, Tony, this when mergers do happen, at the corporate level, especially for even for-profit companies, even non-profit companies. I mean, sometimes there is a little, as they say, tightening of the belt. Things happen, mergers happen. It may not be the best fit for certain areas or certain personnel. But, hey, I put in my time. I'll take a $5 million package, too. And I think I'll go lay on the beach somewhere for a little bit and take it all in and plot my next move.
Yeah, me too. if you think back, man, when WCW was up for sale, or not even for sale, but when they were part of Ted Turner's Empire, and then he done the merger with Time Warner. For years, man, wrestling was Ted Turner's baby. And then, of course, when he merged with Time Warner and AOL, Ted went from being, the main man to being out. And, of course, on January the 12th, 2001, when the merger with Time Warner and AOL was set to go down, the first thing they said was they were getting rid of wrestling. So that was a major shock back then. But now here we're talking about this merger with UFC and WWE, and they're not saying we're not getting rid of we're not going to get rid of either one. We're going to keep both going. And if you think about the way WWE's WrestleMania draws each year, and then you go look at some of these UFC fights and how well they draw, could you imagine if, and I'm sure it's going to happen, but at some point, if they do like a big show together where you got UFC and WWE all on one card, can you imagine how huge that would draw?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're really bringing in a cross-section of promotion of fans. And don't get me wrong, there are fans that watch both products, but then you have a lot of fans that may only watch one of the two products. So it'll bring, that buy rate together, and I'm sure would have it uniquely plotted out, but it's certainly, I'm sure at this point, there's a lot of creative ideas that are come about from this that may have already been manifested or thought of, and some to even of what the future is going to be like. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think the fans at the very end are going to benefit the most. And I think it still raises the level of competition for WWE as well. We know the competition at the national level and international level for wrestling is at a high right now, and everyone's got to be on their A game. Yeah,
they definitely do, and I'm telling you, it's going to be something to see. And one other thing that one of my friends brought up today, and he said, what happens if they do a crossover? In other words, WWE wrestlers, sports entertainers, they cross over and become UFC fighters, and vice versa. UFC fighters come over and become wrestlers. I know we've saw that happen already on a small level, but now that they're one company, I think we'll see a lot of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're going to see how this ebbs and flows. It's new ground for both organizations, but at the end of the day, it's a win, I think, just overall for the sports entertainment industry, and we'll also give the opportunity for folks from the outside, fans, non-fans, to look at the WWE, a little bit differently, like I said, compared to what they've been in the news, which hasn't been the most positive of news on them over, the last, 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I agree. But it's going to be something to see. I'm looking forward to, to really see how it folds out. Although, now I will say this, I'm going to start calling this part of our podcast the Binge Buster Slam. But a couple weeks ago, we as most of us know by now, WWE was here in our hometown, Chris, of Charlotte, and of course you were down at the beach soaking up some sun, and I had nothing to do, and so I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to go online and see if I can find me an inexpensive ticket and go watch Monday Night Raw here in my hometown. And I did, and I found a ticket, and I'm not going to give any plugs to where I got the ticket from, but I got a ticket not from Ticketmaster, but from another company. But nowhere on that ticket did it advertise that there was a limited site, or your site was blocked or anything like that. I get to the building, Chris, and I got my nachos and I got my Coke, and I'm walking down, and I'm trying to see where my seat is, and judging from my ticket, it said I was in section 106, which is lower level, and I was in seat number 4, and I was on row E. So I'm thinking, oh, great, I'm 5 rows back. This is going to be great. Well, no, I wasn't 5 rows back. I was on the 2nd row, and I was so excited, and I sat down, and I'm like, what is this? And there was this like stop sign shaped gimmick thing that the WWE had, part of their equipment. And Chris, from where I was sitting, I could only see half of the ring. If I was sitting down, now if I stood up, I could see the whole ring. But I mean, I'm on the 2nd row. There's no reason for me to stand up. I could sit in my seat, enjoy my nachos, enjoy my Coke, send you a couple text messages, and I should be happy. But instead, I'm asking the music guys, the technical guys. I'm like, hey, can you guys move this? Because this is clearly blocking my view. And he tells me, well, if I move that, then the people at home can't see. Well, I don't care about the people at home because they ain't the one that bought a ticket. I did. So with that, I decided to email corporate. First I emailed the company I got my ticket from. They did graciously give me a credit so I can purchase another ticket for something else. But man, I feel like that wasn't their problem. That was WWE's problem. I can never remember going to see a WCW pay-per-view, and I went to a lot of them with lower level seats, and I don't ever remember my view being obstructed by their equipment.
That is absurd, Tony. I know you sent me a couple of pictures, and whether they're trying to pick up a better signal in the building, or it's something for social media related, or for satellite, or whatever they're trying to do, or what we're doing, I have no idea. But blocking the view, WWE could have been gracious enough maybe to move you somewhere else, compatible, or the arena. At the end of the day, unfortunately, if you bought it from a third-party ticket company or wherever the ticket might have originated from, they obviously didn't know the schematic of the building or what their setup was going to be. They might have knew what the floor was going to look like, but how the equipment was going to be set up, I guess, was a different story. Obviously, these shows are put together for television when they're obviously being broadcast live, but at the end of the day, there's a crowd there, and the crowd paid to be there.
Yeah, and
so
great money too.
It's not like you got the ticket for free or through corporate, or that might be a different story then. But if you legitimately paid for a ticket, I should have a clear, unobstructed view of the ring. If I'm that darn close, 2 rows off the floor, and in the middle of the arena, it definitely doesn't make much sense. And unfortunately, the answer the WWE personnel gave you is not a good answer. Those guys, they can care less.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've been to those shows. The second 11 o'clock hits, and they know they're off the air, and they get the nod. All that shit all of it gets shut down real quick.
Yeah.
And they're out of there.
Yeah, really fast.
Real fast, and then the dark match, and they're out of the building, and off and running to the next city. But, I know. Yeah, I was out of town on Labor Day Monday night, and the WWE came through and, continuing their storyline into the fall. I'm sorry, that happened to you.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. I sucked it up, and I sent him an email and showed him, kind of what how what it looked like. And I'm sure I wasn't the only one that's complained, but we'll see what happens. But one thing I want to mention to everybody, I guess you heard at the top of the program the commercial for Wrestlecade. Wrestlecade's coming up here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. November 24th, 25th, and 26th at the Benton Convention Center. And man, each week they keep announcing new guests. And I understand Abdul the Butcher is gonna be there this year. Andrade, Ric Flair's son-in-law, or I'm not really sure if he's still his son-in-law. I know there's been internet rumors of he and Charlotte splitting up, but in any event, Andrade is going to be there, and the Hardy Boys. I mean, tons and tons of talent. But one of the things that I'm excited about, Chris, one of our good friends who actually was on our show before last year, Mr. Wes Potter, who most people know, he owns the Ric Flair Starrcade 83 robe, and it was just announced yesterday that robe is going to be on display right there at Wrestlecade weekend, so you can go have your photo taken with the actual robe that Ric Flair wore in 1983 right there in Greensboro, just right up the street from Wrestlecade. At the Greensboro Coliseum, but Ric Flair wore this robe. This is the actual robe that Ric Flair wore. I understand it's been in the possession of our good friend Wes for some time now, and of course last year he was on the WWE Most Wanted Treasures, and they sent Charlotte Flair up to his house to try to try and buy the robe and the boots from him, but to no avail. He said no. But I think the real truth behind that, Chris, is I don't think WWE is ready to put out the money that robe is worth.
Yeah, I mean that whole show is interesting, and I guess the value is in the eye of the beholder. You to what it's worth to someone. You and I might look at a chair and, using that, and I say, well, Tony, it might be worth 10, and you might say, no, Chris, it's worth 40.
Right. Yeah.
And we settle somewhere in the middle around 25. So
yep.
It's, I don't know. Some of this stuff is priceless to people. Some of these people like to collect this stuff for a period of time and then try to sell it. Some keep it for life. Whatever it may be. But yeah, gosh, I mean, Wrestlecade not too far away. The Friday, Saturday, Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend, traditionally every year is the event in Winston-Salem, and they're bringing in great talent. Great talent. Some are repeats every year. They seem to bring, a few new headliners every year. And great guys that run the event. If there's one thing I would love for them to ever do is, there's a handful of wrestlers you have to bring into this thing, and you don't have to bring them in all at once. But if, when Tiger Woods plays a golf tournament, it goes to a different level when he was back in the day. When you got these top guys,
mm-hmm.
You might think where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
A little bit. Wrestlecade has been how many years now?
Right.
It's, has Hulk Hogan been there yet?
I think he has, but
Hogan has been at Wrestlecade. Okay.
I think I might be wrong. But
yeah, I don't know. Flair.
Flair has, yes.
Flair has. Very good. Okay. I mean, then they're covering Austin, those guys. You got to try to get somebody, that top guy, those top guys there. I think it adds a different dimension to the event.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know there's a cost involved and things of that. I get it, but it just adds, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if Flair's robe is going to be there, I would have Flair there.
Yeah, and
that's just me.
And I think maybe that might be in the works, but nothing has been released on that yet. But I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I mean those guys. I mean that just I'm going to tell you, there are other events run here in Charlotte over the years, and I see people that they never brought Dusty Rhodes in, when he was living and things like that. It's just little things, you know what I'm saying? That I'm telling you right now, Tony. The way you better book these guys on these things now, because unfortunately, the rate that wrestlers are passing away, you just don't know anymore, man.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys aren't going to live forever, and it's things that you want to do because make these marquee as best. But those guys put on a great show, great weekend, great wrestling, and I'm sure they're going to have another great turnout Thanksgiving weekend, and and putting the best of independent wrestling, in the ring, and a great show for the fans.
Yeah, that is for sure. Now, one thing that I'm going to go ahead and try to change the subject a little bit about Wrestlecade. Make sure you get your tickets. Chris and I may be there. I know we're still working on that. But definitely, if you're going to be in the area, definitely go check it out, and go on Wrestlecade.com, get your tickets, get your information, because they're now in the process. We're now what they call in the home stretch. Got a couple more months of promoting left, and I know now they're starting to release more names of guests that are showing up. So I think it's going to get exciting. One of the things I'm excited about if I get to go to Wrestlecade is the Fabulous Ones, Stan Lane and Steve Kern are going to be there for a rare appearance. So that right there in itself would be definitely be interesting to check out. So I'm definitely excited about that. So you got the Fabulous Ones, and you got Ric Flair's robe, and of course you got the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and tons more other great stars are going to be there. And so definitely check that out. Now the next event that I want to talk about on this week's show is one that means the most to me. It's like my Starrcade. It's my WrestleMania. But coming up on September the 23rd at the Burke County Fairgrounds in Morganton, North Carolina, we're going to walk the aisle one more time. It happened in 1984, and it's happened now again in 2023. It's the Boogie Jam. If anybody that's been following the NAWA over the last year, myself and B&B have had this rivalry going on. He's hurt my manager. He's cheated me out of a couple of matches, interfered in some of my matches, and cost me the win. And now he has went above and beyond and has went out and got the services of Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant and his manager, Captain Joe, and another manager named Magnet Man. And then looking across the ring, so it's one and a half wrestlers. Well, let's just say that, okay? So we got B&B and Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant, and they got a couple managers with them. And one of the managers is going to actually get in the ring, and he's going to face myself, the Freak Daddy, AJ Frost, and our manager, Bobby Lee, the manager of champions. We're going to be doing a 6-man tag, and I can already tell you, Chris, what's going to happen there. We're going to take it to that team. But this past week, Jimmy Valiant and his crew sent in this statement, or this interview, and I'd like to play it for the people at home right now for them to hear.
Sure.
I am Captain Joe Valiant, and I am Boogie's manager.
That's true. And I am Magnet Man, and I am Boogie's other manager. You know what, Capper, I was just thinking about? I was thinking about the good old days. Remember Boogie Man Jam 84?
Oh, really good. Yeah, it was really good, yes.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
Yes.
Guess what, Big M? Guess what, Captain Joe? It's going to happen again, only this time it's going to be on the 23rd of September, baby. And it's going to be at Morganton, North Carolina, and we're going to call it Boogie Man Jam 2023. Oh, yeah, ha, 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 ha.
Now, are you kidding me right now with that, Chris? Are you kidding me? How is Jimmy Valiant going to come out and even think that he's going to do anything to me and my crew? I mean, B&B, if he wants to go out and get somebody, you would think he would get somebody other than Jimmy Valiant. I mean, Jimmy Valiant, I love the man. I've known him all my life, And we've talked about this on the podcast 1,000 times. He broke me in the business. But come on,
right.
Boogie has been around the block a few times, but we know that when he steps in the ring with us, I know AJ's not, and I know I'm not. We're not going to take it easy on him, and we're going to do everything we can to beat him, or to beat all of them. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. I think, Tony, we've talked about this long enough. I think the boogeyman's ripe for the pickings. I think it's time for you to put an end to all this.
Hey,
once and for all.
I've already decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to I'm definitely going to do my best to end his career. I mean, it's time. You know, as Shawn Michaels said to Ric Flair at one time, you know, Old Yeller, they had to take Old Yeller to the shed and put him out of his misery. Well, Boogie is going to be Old Yeller at the Boogeyman Jam, and I'm going to take him to the woodshed. And then when I get done with him, I'm going to take everybody else to the woodshed and put them all out of their misery. And if anybody follows this knows that the B&B, he wears a mask. Well, we know why he wears a mask. He's ugly, and that's why he's from the hills up in Virginia or wherever he's from. And then you got Magnet Man, who wears a mask, and I saw him on Facebook talking the other day about how, you know, when he first started in on all this, you know, he got word that me and AJ and Bobby Lee had been beaten up on B&B, and he felt bad. He said he was low, and he was in his mom's basement. And I said to myself, he's in the basement, okay? So while he's in the basement of his mother's house feeling low, I'm over here on Lake Norman in $1 million home in my beautiful $1,000 recording studio, and he's at his mom's house crying the blues, and I'm over here, you know, on the big side of town, in a big house on the big side of town, and you know, I'm just sitting here going, these guys ain't got a chance, man. They ain't got a chance, and I'm looking forward to the Boogie Jam.
Man, it's going to be a great show, man. I know the guys have been promoting it. You've been promoting it. It's now turned into a 6-man match. I mean, this could turn into a brawl. I don't know what Boogie's even thinking of stepping in the squared circle. I mean, you know him like a book anyway, Tony. He doesn't have any more tricks up his sleeve, to my knowledge.
Right. Well, you know, for 15 years, even before that, several years when you were promoting that great organization, New Dimension Wrestling, Boogie came in and worked for you several times, so you know what he does.
Oh.
And then on top of that, I traveled the road with Boogie and Bruiser Graham for years. And I just sat there in the back seat and kept my mouth shut and listened to everything he said. So I know how to beat him. I've beat him before, and I'm going to beat him again. And it's going to be here Saturday night, September 23rd in Morganton, North Carolina.
It will be the end. It will be the last match. Boogie's last match will be in Morganton on the 23rd, a 6-man tag match. Tony, when you get done with him, he might not even be leaving the building.
Oh no! I've already made the statement. Okay, this is what's going to happen. We're going to take both of those guys' masks, and then after we take their mask and they see, and the crowd there sees how ugly they are, they're going to run out the door, and they're going to leave Boogie behind, and then we're going to finish the job that Paul Jones started in 1984, and we're going to cut that beard off. We're going to cut that beard off, and I'm going to put it on eBay. And I'm gonna sell it, and then it's gonna be the end of Boogie. You know, he right off into the sunset, go up to his Boogie's wrestling camp and retire, and hang out with his beautiful wife and train all these young kids on how to wrestle, and then those kids will come and wrestle me, and I'll beat them up too. So it's a never ending cycle.
There it is. I love it, man. It's gonna be a great show, man. They got a bunch of great matches lined up for the night and great family entertainment. And I know it's only 10 days away. You're going to be ready. And It'll be rocking and rolling. It's going to be their fall brawl, pretty much.
Yeah,
even though it's the
exactly.
Boogeyman Jam.
Exactly.
But absolutely, fall will be in the air, and man, nothing more exciting than some pro wrestling on a Saturday, and I know from top to bottom, it'll be well worth every penny for admission at the door.
Yeah, really good. And on a serious note, the promoter, I'm super excited about the promotion of NAWA. They always put on great shows. We always build. We have great storylines, great pro wrestlers. The fans come out and they really show their support. So I'm excited about that. But one thing I'm really excited about, as you know, back in 1984 when they had the original Boogeyman Jam, there was a photo or a little poster a promotional poster that they sold during that time, and on that poster was Jimmy Valiant, the Assassins, Paul Jones, Dick Slater, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, and Greg Valentine. All those great stars were on that cartoon. It was like a cartoon drawing.
Yeah.
That said Boogeyman Jam 84. Well, the great promotion NAWA, they have recreated that design. And if you go on their website and look at it, it's beautiful. And if you come to the event, I am going to have a limited edition, limited quantities of T-shirts with that poster on the front, and then, of course, on the back, the matches. I'm also going to have a raffle going on that night for a limited edition. Only one each was made. One T-shirt depicting this special event. On the front of the shirt is the Boogeyman Jam 23 poster featuring myself, B&B, Jimmy Valiant, AJ Frost, Jimmy Valiant, Captain Joe, and Magnet Man, and my manager Bobby Lee, right on the front. And then on the back is every match that is going to be taking place. There's another poster going around that has all the wrestlers' faces on it. So that's going to be on the back, and there's only been one shirt made. So that night we're going to be raffling off that shirt. And also the same night we're going to raffle off the shirt. We're going to also have a only one was made water bottle that is going to have the Boogeyman Jam poster there on it too. So that special, that's going to be there, but I'm also going to have T-shirts, and then you can also purchase this poster of the Boogeyman Jam 23 featuring, like I said, the 6-man tag main event. So that's exciting. So if you're a wrestling collector, you like one of a kind items, we're going to have that here at the Boogeyman Jam 23 there in Morgan.
Nice.
But not just that, man. We got main event matches from top to bottom. As the NAWA television champion, Dre White defends his title against Zay Vega. Then we got the NAWA heavyweight champion, and I'm talking super heavyweight champion, Big Donnie, and he's going to defend the belt against Mr. Number 1 George South. So you know that match is going to be huge.
Right.
We got the NAWA tag team titles on the line. The Allen brothers defend against All Worm No Soul, the former champions. Then in tag team action, we have Velo and Kindred taking on the Wranglers. And then Tommy Akami, and he's going to be taking on Thomas Extreme. And the great thing is you can get all this great, exciting wrestling matches for the super low price of only $10. And kids 6 and 12 are $5, and 5 and under are free. So I mean, it's going to be the matches are going to be wide open. And of course, the main event that night featuring in the WWE legend and Hall of Famer Handsome Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant as his crew takes on my crew. And Chris, it's going to be a barn burner.
Man, Tony, from top to bottom, man, that is loaded. They are ready to go. I mean, NWA superstars, it is going to be a show to be had. I mean, I'm excited for the NAWA, I know you can't wait to get your hands on Boogie. Forget the other two guys. I think you're going to be so zoned in, Tony.
I can't wait. And there's been times I've talked about this on the podcast that I've been on shows and Jimmy Valiant has asked to wrestle me. Well, this time he didn't ask, and I didn't ask. It's just the promotion put it together, and Boogie and I are going to tear it down one more time. I think this might be, Chris, maybe our 200th or 300th match together. I know there's been a bunch of them. So, but this one I think is going to be the best. I'm looking forward to it.
I know you are, Tony. I know you are.
It's definitely going to be wide open.
Oh yeah, I know you're ready, man. I know, and hey, Boogie's going to be ready too.
Oh yeah,
he's not coming in, so it's going to be on, man. I'm going to tell you right now, when they ring that bell, fans, hold on to your seats, hold your kids. Make sure the dogs are on the leash too, because it's going to be a barn burner, man. And who knows? So you guys could be fighting all the way out in the parking lot, halfway back to Charlotte before it's over with.
Oh, you never know. It's going to be something else. But fans, in order to get your tickets, you got to go on the NAWA's website or their Facebook page, which is the NAWA Pro Wrestling. Go to that page, pull it up, and there's links there on how to buy your tickets. But if you look at the description of our podcast, I will also have that link there for you as well. And then if you want to get your hands on those Boogie Jam T-shirts, message us here on the Binge Buster Show on our Facebook page, and I'll tell you how to get your very own T-shirt. Not the limited edition one, but a really nice T-shirt as well.
Yeah, I mean, great job on the design, Tony. It looks great, and I know it'll be popular leading up to the show and at the show. And man, I can't wait to hear the results of this song. It's going to be wide open.
It's going to be great. But fans, if you hang tight real second, we have a little small commercial, and when we come back, Chris and I are going to wrap up this week's show, and just hang tight. We'll be right back.
Yo, it's your boy, Snoop D-O-double-G. Wanted to give a shout-out to my homie, Tony B. He's got your hookup for wrestling.
All right, fans, I am back. Man, the stars just keep coming on the podcast, Chris. And I'm excited, man, and it's getting better and better. But, man, I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back recording with you. It's been a minute, man, and it's nice to get back together.
Yeah, we talked about a lot tonight, Tony. So excited. NAWA in 10 days. Got Wrestlecade 2023 brewing, Thanksgiving weekend up in Winston-Salem for 3 days. And I mean, so much happening on the pro wrestling scene, like I said, on the national, the international level, and all points in between. And you know what? The greatest thing is the fans are reaping the benefits of all this. And I really think 2023, the professional wrestling in the industry as a whole is going to end on a real high.
Yeah, I do too. It's got to, because we've there at the beginning of the year we've lost several stars and brothers and sisters in wrestling, and so I think that we're going to finish out 23 with a huge bang for sure.
Absolutely, and looking forward to it, and then we'll be knocking on the door to 2024.
Yes, sir. Well, Chris, thank you for joining me this week, man. Look forward to getting back with you next week, and hopefully next week we'll have maybe someone from the Boogeyman Jam on the show, talking more about that event. Also, in the weeks to come, we're gonna also have some stars from Wrestlecade are going to be on the show. It's just going to get bigger and better as the weeks go by.
Awesome stuff. Looking forward to it, Tony, and the weeks and months to come. And a shout out to all the fans for listening. And I know we've been on a break the last couple of months here, but we're going to get them back in the driver's seat. But thank you for listening. We greatly appreciate it on this end. For sure. Well, for Chris, I am Tony. We will see you fans next week right here on the Binge Buster Show.
Thank you for listening to the Binge Buster Show. Make sure you like us on Facebook and download us on your favorite podcast platform.